and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. And when you listen, stream, or download straight to your device, Castbox is your best option. Remember, if you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
All right, good morning and good night. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for listening anywhere you do. Thank you for watching. If you're watching, subscribe, like, hit that little bell on the side so you know whenever we have a show, you're notified. I don't want you to get bamboozled. You know, we're going 3 weeks out of the show. We covered Shrek 6 and you didn't know about it. You don't want that to happen, do you? So you got to hit that bell. Today, we're going to talk about The Punisher 2. Maybe Marvel's last thing on Netflix. Maybe. I don't know. To start off with it, me, John, we're the only ones here. We have no authority. All right. No one to yell at us. No one to call us names.
Nope.
Right. I got all
no
my
one
Punisher.
To call us casuals.
Yeah. No one to call us casuals. We're super casuals. I got my Punisher. Oh, I'm mirrored. So actually, I thought the skull was right here. Got the skull right there. Got the motherfucking shirt right here. I stole this. So.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Don't let the Punisher find out, though. It won't be too good.
I should be punished for having so much bullshit like that on there. I'm also getting ripped apart on Twitter because I'm a big Thomas Jane fan, and you know, Johnny's giving him a run for his money. But so you've seen this show in like a day's time, which is impressive because usually it's, you know, if you don't do something right in the Body Snatchers team, they call you John Jr. and it's hurtful. There's really nothing you can say against that. Like you gotta either apologize or delete your account. So
just accept it.
Yeah, you came through. So you watched it in pretty much one day, right? What did you think?
I watched actually both seasons in the span of like a week, but
that's pretty.
Second
impressive.
Season I watched in like 2 days. Just binge watched the hell out of it, and I was actually surprised when I got to the last episode that I went through them so fast. But it kept me entertained, so binge watching it wasn't such a problem for me. But,
right,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, you can go through these series pretty quick if they're interesting, especially for us if they got a lot of action and blood banging around and stuff like that. For me, I preferred the first one better, and that's just because there was a lot of storylines in this, and I enjoy a good story, not a bunch of them. And especially some that really don't have an impact unless you're a chick or a really emotional man.
Yeah.
So one thing I didn't really enjoy. We're gonna be giving away a little bit of spoilers. We gave everyone enough time. If you're excited to see The Punisher, you've seen it the first week like us. If you're not, you'll probably see it in like months from now. So we're just gonna tell you it is good. Go see it. Yeah. You know, it's a show of quality as Marvel does with their movies and shows. I would argue The Defenders wasn't worth my dollar, but I vaguely remember it too. I think someone lost an arm.
Yeah, at the tail ass end of the series. Yeah.
Well, you know, it is what it is. They can't all be winners. You got to have losers to have winners.
True, but I'm wondering if that has any effect on them not continuing their Netflix originals, unless they're just going to go off and do their own thing.
I'm sick of people coming at me and like, oh, I know what's going on. Marvel's getting all their stuff and they're going to go to their streaming services and Netflix is going to be down. And then what? Avengers came out on Christmas on Netflix. So what are you talking about?
I think Marvel is still going to use Netflix.
Of course
100%. But
they should.
They might do the same thing DC's doing with theirs. So who knows? But now, anyway.
If Daredevil got cracked, The Punisher could get cracked too. Like this could be the end of it. You know, they could be going in a different direction, getting new superheroes or something like that for their streaming services or even for Netflix. But a lot of them are just getting like put down.
Yeah. So I don't know. Time will tell, but we can enjoy it while it's here. So, and I mean, speaking of that, what did you think about the series as a whole? Like, I know you didn't care too much for the story, but new characters and then old characters returning.
I liked it. I always seen this as an expansion of Daredevil. So one of the problems I had with this is the fighting scenes. Now the fighting scenes are still very good. They're still brutal. The Punisher is still the Punisher. But me, if you if you heard the other shows about Daredevil and the Punisher, they use a still camera when they fight. So when these
Mhm.
guys are going off the choreographs they're told, it's one shot, it's smooth, it looks brutal. I mean, the last season of Daredevil when he was in that prison, that was just a single shot. I thought that
Mhm.
was phenomenal because you can't take your eyes off it, which means you're invested and you have to watch everything that's there. With the fights in here, um, you know, when he was in the bathroom, the camera was all over the place. The camera's over here, flips, boom, the camera switches, boom, he's fighting someone else, swings, he
Yeah.
ducks, the camera switches. And it's like they do that in movies and shows so that your mind can connect the dots. And when your mind
Right.
connects the dots, I convince you that, it happened or hits happened. So I know the difference because I was spoiled with Daredevil. But these fighting scenes in here they were a little bit average to me. They do get extraordinary because it is the Punisher. Some dude headbutts somebody and then you see him pulling out the teeth and showing you, and then it's
Right.
like, man, that's brutal. Yeah, but if you would have seen it on a still cam, you would have remembered that moment and it would have been awesome. So I felt
Yeah.
like it was a little bit of a cop out, but it is what it is. Wasn't
Yeah.
that
I
good.
mean, they did have quite a few camera cuts, which I didn't enjoy as much, but the fight scenes in general, I definitely did enjoy because it was just like you said, it was brutal. There was gore. The gunplay was very nice. There were a few things that I noticed between season one and season two as far as some of the gunplay, but that's just me being a person who's in the guns in general. It's just like you
What was it?
watch
I had
movies.
a BB gun. I could relate.
so so yeah, it's just certain things you look for when you're someone who's already into firearms. But outside of that, all the movie magic, it was good. And I mean, John just plays a damn good Punisher, man.
He does.
I don't have any complaints about his character at all.
I like the detail to it, and like you said, the detail you noticed was gunplay. I feel like that's
Hmm.
important if someone's looking for that. Me, I was looking to see how many times he smiled, and when he smiled, why was he doing it? Because that's a big thing
Yeah,
about a Punisher. He's never supposed to smile because
yeah,
he's just
especially if the smiles are actually genuine to whatever's going on.
yeah. And to build on his personality, one more thing I liked about this is they really pushed on him being comfortable in chaos. So,
Hmm.
if he has to get in somewhere, he's more comfortable kicking in the door and getting shot at as opposed to getting into disguise and slipping in the back or something, or choke holding a guy, dragging him and wearing his hat or something. He
Yeah,
wants the fight. He feels that fight. So in this season, if you watch the first one, he gets in a couple fights. He's cut up here and he's bruised there. And every episode, he gets into a different fight, and his face will get worse. So by the last episode, he's literally all banged up,
yeah,
and they kept him all banged up, and there's blood on his teeth, and his eye is completely like red from getting punched in the face. And I think that's
yeah.
pretty cool. I think when I look at that, I'm like, yeah, that's how the Punisher should be. I don't want him to be so good to where he never gets hit, or if he does, it's a
Right.
big deal. No, he got shot a bunch of times. He got stabbed a bunch of times.
Yeah, there's definitely a balance though. Sometimes throughout the series, I did kind of get irritated with how much he got shot or some of the things that he actually survived through.
Right.
Because I was like, man, like he's not like a general superhero where he has superpowers. He's human. He's really good at doing what
Right.
he does, like as far as kicking ass. But no one could really survive being, put through the amount of shit that he was put through. But
Well, there was one part,
it's
and I'm glad you brought it up because when they arrested him, and he was in the police station. They shut
yeah,
down everything, and they were ambushing him. So there was a line of people with guns shooting into this one doorway, and
hmm,
he has a busted hand, so we taped it around so that he can put the gun like this. And
yeah,
while they're shooting, he goes down the hallway, maybe about 10 or 13 feet. While they're shooting,
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
when you do this, it's not hard to believe a stray bullet hits him, which I think it does. I think he does get shot, but if it hits him in the head, show's over.
Right, exactly.
So believably, if this guy is so smart and he was in the Marines and he was special forces, why is he not taking cover?
Yeah,
You can
they're
make the argument he doesn't care, but it was only episode 7. You got 13 to go.
yeah.
What are you
No,
doing?
there are definitely some certain points where I'm looking at it and it's like tactically that doesn't make any sense. Like he should have used cover in certain situation, and it kind of bothered me a little bit, but I was still so invested in the action that it didn't it didn't make the show bad, if that makes sense.
Another thing I didn't like, they were using an AR-15, right, in the police station. Do you remember?
Yeah, M4 carbines, standard issue for like most police officers and stuff
All
like
right.
that.
Now you can tell, because you're in the guns. You can tell me if I'm wrong, or because I made a big deal in my living room. It's a mess. But whenever he points it at Frank after everyone's dead, and he's like, "I can't let you go," and then he's like, "You're out of bullets," and he walks away. How
Mm-hmm.
does he know he's out of bullets?
You can audibly tell when the bolt locks back in a rifle.
Okay.
So maybe he was just listening for the audible click.
Okay.
Um, and actually, since you brought that up, one of the things that bothered me about the rifles in this series, they all had like these really small 20 round magazines,
Okay.
which are really small. They didn't have like the standard capacity magazines, which if I had my gun case unlocked right now, I'd actually show you an example. But it was like the amount of rounds that they were firing for what
Uh-huh.
those magazines can hold was pretty unrealistic, which I thought was hilarious. Um, but back to your question, yeah, I think he just listened for the audible
All right.
click, which you
I,
can definitely tell.
yeah, I'll accept that answer. I mean, I'm not. These are my weapons, John.
Yeah.
All right, that's what I know. But yeah, that's a reasonable answer. I thought I was gonna ask you anyways, but I'd save it for the show. I
Yeah.
wanted to lay it on you and embarrass you if you didn't know, but you did. So I guess we're moving on.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. So
Another thing I didn't like, but we like the show. We like the whole series. But another thing I
mhm.
didn't like, how no homo, how pretty was Jigsaw?
Too
Right?
damn pretty.
Yeah, too damn
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah. But yeah, it was definitely wasn't bad. I'm gonna say no homo as well
Yeah,
for that
yeah.
one.
Because it's like he got his face smashed in a mirror
Yeah.
a lot of times to where he lost his memory and he was in a coma. I
Hmm.
get the flu for a couple days. I look worse than this motherfucker, but he comes out, he's wearing a mask. I'm like, man, he must be jacked up. He has to
I
wear
thought
that
so.
mask. That mask has to be his friend, man. And then he kept saying, my face hurts, and he's going nuts. And then he takes it off. Good looking Larry,
Right.
right there.
Yeah.
Even his therapist was like, hey, stay with me.
and then
I
even
got a
after
person.
that, the wounds got better. So they even like smoothed out as the series went on, and
Right.
like the injuries that he got from the last episode in the first season, I was like, dude, his face should be jacked up because you could see like flesh hanging off of his face. So when second season came, I was just expecting like some really bad shit, almost like
We all were. A lot of people were excited about Jigsaw, and you know what could have
mhm,
fixed it? You know what could have just been everything? Everything would have been groovy. Get a mask that looks deformed, that makes him feel like himself. So whenever he doesn't have the mask, he's Billy Russo. He's smart. He's a leader. He's
yeah,
someone that can manipulate. When he's Jigsaw, have him do that deep voice that he does when he's yelling at Frank Castle and they're yelling at each other. Have him do that voice. Have
yeah,
him get crazy. Have him get nuts. A mask like the Scarecrow and Batman,
yeah,
that thing he put on, and it was all raggedy, and it
yep,
was it was it was terrifying. But he all these masks, they were probably like $50 a piece, made by someone special, like they were custom. All
yeah,
these masks were nice. They were hanging on the wall too, nice as fuck.
yeah.
I was like, we get it. You got money. Jeez.
Yeah, and me being a casual, not really knowing Jigsaw's character that well,
Hmm.
but I do agree with you. Like they should have given him a mask that, like you said, represented how he felt on the inside because he
Right.
knew his face was all scarred up, but he could still go to any bar and like pull any amount of
Right.
chicks just from his facial structure alone.
Exactly. I mean, and I was thinking that we're going that direction. That scene in the currency exchange or whatever it
Yeah,
is, and he's talking to her, and he's getting really dark, and he's getting really crazy. Still has that nice mask, but he's getting an attitude, and his voice is changing, and
hmm,
this lady isn't giving him anything, and he's just getting darker and crazier, and he pulls out a grenade, and then he
yeah,
sees the Punisher, and then he freezes, and he's in his head again, and when you make characters like Jigsaw or someone that's OP like the Kingpin, you got to make them OP. You can't just make them a regular person falling into opportunities of chaos. You got to make them be that dude. They're that dude. And since we're on Jigsaw, we can talk about how he passed away. I didn't
Yeah.
like that. I didn't like
No.
that. I went 13 episodes. I got it though. I got it. Frank Castle comes in a bad motherfucker, and Billy's just spilling his guts. He's saying anything. His mind's going a mile a minute. Frank just comes in, doesn't smile, doesn't do anything. Takes out the gun. Boom. 3 in his chest. Leaves. That's it. Frank didn't even talk. I would have liked him to at least talk. I would have liked him to give me a quote that you could put on the shirt. Something. But he just came in.
I would have. My bad. Go ahead.
I just would have liked something more. I would have liked something
No,
more.
Yeah.
Epic.
No, I agree. I would have preferred if he like walked in as Billy was laying there and pulled up a chair and just kind of like talked to him, because at that point, I mean, spoiler alert, Billy still didn't know exactly what he had did when he was working for Agent Orange at the time. So I felt like Frank could have sat down with him and been like, just had a conversation with him.
Something. Exactly.
Yeah. To give the dude closure, because he was like, because he was so upset because he didn't know why Frank did that to his face.
Holy fuck. Does he know? Did he know before he died? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, he did?
Remember when Frank showed up in in his Punisher vest?
Yeah.
Like that night came back to Billy. Nothing else did. Only that Frank was the one who dragged his face through glass at the carousel. So he didn't know anything else. He didn't know that he was working for Agent Orange. He didn't know that he was part of Frank's family getting killed.
Right.
I mean, he wasn't there, but he knew about it. He didn't know any of that. He just knew, oh, my best friend who, I basically grew up with this guy through the military, and I was basically a part of his family. His kids called me Uncle Russo. He didn't know any of the things that happened after that, like out of the military.
And I get why they did it. It's just I would have liked something else. I mean, I would have taken him pulling the gun out, setting the gun on a bench, taking it, him taking his coat off and beating Billy to death. That episode 11 on the first season, to where he gets hit with that adrenaline. That scene was amazing. I went to work and I showed people this scene. I'm like, look at this. And the Punisher's all bloody and he's getting beat up. And then Frank Castle, he gets that little slit in his what is it, his wraps? What do they call them? The plastic wraps. And then that adrenaline hits him and he kills this dude with his bare hands. That's brutal. And then
that was a brutal scene.
And then he ends Jigsaw with just a couple shots without saying anything. So it's whenever I go to a second season, I want to see what worked, and then I want to see something else. And I feel like they went backwards a little bit. I'm still gonna put the season 1 in front of season 2, only because the fight scenes, there was too much story, too much that didn't matter. The psychiatrist, I felt like that didn't matter at all.
Yeah, no, she wasn't a big part of Billy's progression, really, because he still kind of went out and did his own thing.
Right, exactly, right? Their conversations literally didn't matter. They would talk, and he would just do what he was doing anyways.
Yeah, her backstory didn't matter either. The whole thing just, I was like, why? Because at first, when they started showing like her scars and stuff, and then the fact that she was having issues approaching like a window, I thought it was because maybe she tried to commit suicide. So like throughout the whole series, or the whole second series, I'm like, all right, why is this whole thing about her committing suicide such a big deal? And then the story finally came that it was because her dad was holding her when he fell out of the window. It was like, but why tell this story at all? I feel like it has no point.
It didn't to me. It was there the entire season, and then they just took it out towards the end.
Yeah.
So, I don't understand it.
I almost feel like they were trying to just tie off loose ends, just to get it over with, and because they didn't want to expand on anything else.
Like they wrote themselves in a corner, you're saying?
Yeah, yeah. And then they didn't even end up killing her when she went out the window again. So it was like, what's the point of her surviving? And now that Billy's dead, there's really no point in her surviving because he was supposed to be the driving, or she was supposed to be the driving force for him to do what he was doing. So it's like, unless she's supposed to come back as some villainous character or something.
Fuck out of here! I don't need that shit in my Punisher show.
I don't.
You know what I'm saying? I would have I think it was the first 2 episodes to where he met that single mom at the bar. That was a nice story. Mm-hmm. I like that story where he stays over, the kid sees him, and then the kid doesn't have a father, but the kid's hungry because the mom is always busy, overwhelmed, and he's like, hey, let's go out to eat. Nice feels all around. And then they just completely throw them out. And now they got to fill a story with the psychiatrist and Billy. It was trash.
Yeah, and the fact that they had to go back to New York after that whole thing, because I thought she was going to be involved more in the story. The chick that he met at the bar, I don't remember her name right now, but so they threw that whole storyline out of the way because it would have been nice to see him like just kind of doing his thing throughout while he was traveling. Yeah. But then he just to end up back in New York after a few episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then everyone's like, I thought you were dead, but now you're not. Arrested. Ugh.
Yeah.
And it's well, John Pilgrim, that character was pretty good. He was one with the Lord. He was very religious, but he was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, I liked his character. And they didn't really give him too much of a backstory. Like they showed his tattoos that he was trying to get rid of, and then they did bring it up a little bit when he was in New York, when he had a sit down with I guess one of the mob leaders or whatever.
Right.
But they didn't expand on his story too much, which I would have actually liked to have seen more of his story.
So would I.
I guess
I would have liked to see him go a little bit crazier than he did. Like he was pretty much just a man on a mission for his kids and
his wife. Yeah.
Yeah, and his wife. And they mentioned his past, how crazy he was. He was just that dude. He would kill people with his bare hands. He would just, carry out that order. And they did show him being savage in that bar scene. Again, a lot of camera tricks, but it was still, you could still tell what was going on. And it still told you the story of him being someone that knew how to fight and knew how to kill. And all through this, he's just fighting with his demons, but he still has a straight face. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't really hear him yell. You didn't really see him get overwhelmed.
Right.
I feel like if you have one side of a character, you got to go to the other side just so people can, get to know him better, feel him out. So if you're only on one side, then, how attached can you be?
Because I'm wondering if he got into his role, basically being a hitman for that religious couple. Like, how did that happen? Like, was he actually trying to go clean and straight, and then they just they knew about his past, so they got him into that, or did they recruit him from what he was doing and then just kind of fill his head with all the religious stuff and say, oh well, now you're doing work for God instead of doing work for some mobster in New York or something.
Right. And he wasn't crazy. He knew what he was doing. I think he was just trying his best to change. And they should, and he did kind of lose control. I said we didn't see the other side. He did. He was getting blown by hookers on coke. So
yeah, that scene was pretty cool. But I mean, at that point, I guess he felt like he didn't have too much more to lose. Well, wait, was that before or after he found out his wife was dead? I think that was right before, right?
I think that was right before, to where he got his ass beat, and then he was just like all savage like, and then the guy next to him, the music was too loud, so it looked like he was going to tell him to turn it down, but he had his gun with him, so I don't know what he was thinking. And then the guy opens, there's hookers doing blow in the back, and then he just puts the gun towards him and he walks in. I don't even know what happened to the dude. He probably killed him.
Yeah, I don't think they even showed that. They just
No, I
showed
don't know.
the one chick giving him head, and then he was like, "Leave, get out of here."
But I will say the fight between John Pilgrim and Frank Castle, that was probably the best fight of that season. They
Yeah,
they they sold that fight really well. They had chains and everything. They're choking each other. The hits that they're doing, realistically, you block so many and then you get caught with one, and that's how they did it.
yeah,
And I like the way that they have Frank Castle fighting to where sometimes he just takes a hit so that he can hit you back. And I like
hmm
looking for stuff like that because usually people can cover up and everything, or they'll do the Mortal Kombat thing and they'll spin around with the back elbow. And he'll just
yeah,
block a couple times. He'll get hit just so he can go in there. And I really like that fighting style. I think they did a really good job with this, despite our dislikes. But we
hmm
know our dislikes aren't like everyone else. We get bored with stories. We pay attention to weird details. It's
yeah,
still a good show. We know the difference. It's still a good show. We know the difference between somebody writing themselves in a corner and somebody that just doesn't care. And this was probably just someone writing themselves in a corner. So it still had a good ending, good beginning. You're gonna binge watch this because it is good. If you like the Punisher, it is good. He does get savage. And in the only time I marked out, I got really excited was the last 3 minutes to where
hmm
you picture who the Punisher is and what he does. At the end of, I think at the end of Warzone too, but at the end of the Thomas Jane Punisher, uh, they go out and they just find criminals and they punish them.
hmm
You
yeah,
don't get a lot of that in season 1 or season 2 until at the end, to where these two gangs meet each other and they're like, I thought you wanted to talk. And I'm like, I didn't
yeah,
want to
yeah.
talk. You called me here. What do you want? And then they get all hyped up. And then he comes in, he has his duster on, which is cool. And then he has his
Right,
Punisher vest, which is bloody, just like the one behind me. And then he's like, hey, I want to play. And then he takes both of them. What are they?
and
What
just
kind of guns were
fucking
they?
probably M4s again, the same style
And
as
he just
the
start he just
before.
starts spraying each side, and instead of keeping
Yeah,
a straight face, he fucking roars. And I'm like, dude,
yeah,
that's
dude.
that's so fucking cool. That's what I like. That's what I like about this guy, is that that's how I envision the Punisher now. He's just that's all he's good at. That's
He's
all he's
so
good at.
intense.
It is intense, and I think he
He's
mentioned one
so
time
intense.
to where he's like, I'm not that good at dying, but I'm great at killing, so that's what I do.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
and and shout out to the scenes in this when he visits his family and he's sitting on the grass at night and you can see New York behind it. Dude, it looks so beautiful. Like I want to go to New York and visit these places every time. It's like every scene they do, whether it's a warehouse
hmm
or a cemetery, there's a body of water and then just a bunch of lights and buildings. And I'm like,
yeah.
fuck, man, that looks beautiful.
There were a lot of very, very nice backdrops throughout the scenes in the series. So I definitely give whoever cinematographer was credit for the settings that they had for a lot of these scenes.
Soundtrack
It was
too.
always good. The
Soundtrack too.
soundtrack was legit.
Alice in
Yeah,
Chains. It really put the whole thing together. The people that do these shows, they know what they're doing. They
yeah,
can make their worst show is worth your time. And
yeah,
I talked a lot about the Defenders. Maybe I'll go back because I didn't appreciate it enough. Maybe I don't know why, but
yeah.
Defenders is the lowest. And then anything that Iron Fist wants to do. Um, who's the chick?
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. And Luke Cage, Punisher, Daredevil. So,
Yeah.
it's not unreasonable. And if there's one that I missed, fuck them.
Nah, I don't
Yeah.
think there is.
And all the
Uh,
audio listeners right now, I'm drinking beer out of a big Punisher mug, like an ignorant Punisher mug. This is like an oval,
yeah,
so it's not as easy as it sounds, but that's what you're hearing.
super ignorant, but it's nice though. So you got to
Yeah,
respect it.
it is. It is. It is real nice. So anybody that's thinking about checking this whole series out, listen to me.
Watch
You
it.
got to watch Daredevil. You got to watch Daredevil first. Season 1, season 2, then you watch the Punisher season 1, then you watch the Daredevil season 3 just cuz it's good. You're going to enjoy it. Just do what I say. And then you can watch season 2 of Punisher.
Yeah.
So that's 5 shows that you got to watch. They do make sense. They are in line with each other and they're all good. Every episode you're going to get something. Yeah, I understand why these shows got to do what they do. They got to bring you down so you can come back up.
I do wish. I will say, I do wish we could have seen more interactions between the Defenders possibly even running into the Punisher at some point. Um, but I think like the only mention of Daredevil that we got was when what's her name walked in and said that she was from Murdoch. Um, the
redhead.
What am I? Yeah, the redhead. I can't think of her name right now, but yeah, that would have it would have been cool to see someone else pop into his universe or into his storyline, or even Luke Cage, since Luke Cage can actually take bullets. So
right, he
that would have
doesn't
been
like
kinda cool.
he doesn't like nobody though. You got to deal with a couple episodes of him trying to work with someone. He doesn't even like working with Daredevil.
Right.
So
But no, I'm just thinking like if Luke, for whatever reason, was doing his thing and Punisher showed up and Punisher goes in guns blazing and Luke is the only one not going down after being shot, and then they have their little interaction about it, that would have been kind of cool.
And I agree with that, except for the fact that if Luke Cage showed up, they already canceled his show. So what?
True.
So what is he doing there? Is he looking for a job?
Yeah, he's
Right?
just hanging out.
Yeah, what do you do there? I mean, crossovers are always money. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But if Netflix is out here cutting off the heads of, you cut off the head of Daredevil, nobody's safe. And I say that people are like, oh, the Punisher's awesome. We like the Punisher. That's a bad motherfucker. No one's safe if you took Daredevil.
Yeah.
There was arguably nothing wrong with that show. You could have kept going season after season. People love the Kingpin. People love Daredevil. People love Bullseye. Nah, they went like this. And then well, they're gonna come back on Disney streaming services. No, they're done. Charlie Cox, he's done. Charlie Cox isn't gonna wait around because he has bills to pay. That light bill is gonna go off, and he's gonna have to do some play, or he's gonna have to go on ABC on a sitcom and be an extra. And then he's gonna be booked. He's not gonna have time to make these shows. All right, that they're not bringing him back. I hate that people are like that, to where they're like, oh, they're gonna take it off Netflix and they're gonna put them over here. These people gotta work. Oh, they're rich. Yeah. Big money, big bills. All right, just like the rest of us, they gotta work. So,
no, you won't be sitting on his ass for too long.
Exactly. I think you should just, we watched it. Just enjoy it for what it is, because I don't think you're getting another Daredevil. And our counterparts, Tino, Gia, Jay, they think, oh, we're gonna take them and we're gonna bring them over here. I think just let them die.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be over at that point.
That's fine. So final thoughts on the Punisher?
I'd say it's definitely a watch. Watch it, binge watch it, enjoy it, and leave it at that.
Yeah, if you're waiting for something, or you're waiting for something else to happen, Netflix can pull this thing any moment. So let's get it done sooner than later. So the juggernaut that is Netflix doesn't just pull it right from under you in episode 6. So
yeah, just spend a Saturday, watch all of it, and call it a day.
Jeez, I usually get like 3 beers. I only got 2. We must have been talking a lot. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. If you're watching, subscribe, hit that little bell. We'll let you know when we got another show coming out. Visit the conversation at facebook.com/Body Snatchers Podcast, Snapchat and Twitter, Body Snatchers PC, and Instagram, Body Snatchers Podcast. So that's where we live. If you're looking to talk about anything, we got somebody for everything. So we're always willing to talk with our fans. We love the support you guys are giving us now. You guys come here and you share, or you ask us question, and we love talking it out with you. We love arguing with each other when you bring it up. It's really fun. You guys are doing a great job out there. So the more you bring the support, the more we bring it to you. We got a ton of giveaways going out right now. We got Kingdom Hearts 3 that's coming out in a couple days. We got Jump Force 2. So if you want a free copy, you got to go to bodysnatcherspodcast.com, and you gotta click. Oh, there it is.
Well, it's not 3, but it's me trying to catch up so I can actually be a part of the discussion.
What do you mean catch up? It's coming out in 4 days.
I know. I probably won't play it by then, but still. I know Tino gives me a lot of shit about not ever playing Kingdom Hearts, so I'm actually going to try this time.
Why are you like this? You look on our social media, we have the rules for the contest. You can still enter when you're hearing this. Go ahead and enter. If you're a patron account, you're automatically entered. No matter what you give. No matter what you can give, we appreciate it. We put you in that automatic running every month. So, for Steve and John, tell someone you love them. Take care. Bye.
Peace.